the way of death and rebirth is as old as time. And yet in recent history, it's really been distorted. And it's the way to liberation. I don't know how else to to speak of the enticing, because no one, I mean, I shouldn't say no one, but I don't think it's like appealing to necessarily go through a process of death and rebirth. It's not all peachy and roses, although peaches and roses can very well be a part of it. Because, you know, as part of the teaching goes, like how we navigate the challenge is also by being deeply oriented to what is pleasurable in our experience. Even as whole parts of identity are shed, and even whole parts of our body, our physical body, can be shed too. I mean, it's remaking itself just as our identity is. So the good news, and it's like the foundation, but I think it's the thing that keeps needing to come home into a felt knowing and not just a concept again and again and again, is that we aren't outside of that access to that essential freedom. It's not something we have to go and get. The blueprint for soul is right here, obscured by karma, obscured by conditioning, obscured by trauma. If you go and speak in a more sort of animist or shamanic way, obscured by even, you could say, energetic weaponry. But it is indestructible. It's indestructible and can be whispered awake. You know, I like to call this the soul seed. And so in the metamorphosis process, which is the curriculum, I mean, I call it a curriculum, but it's really a journey. It's really a 12-step experience. It's an experiential curriculum, not so much of a analytical or heady one, although sometimes the left brain does like to have those concepts to help it make sense of what it's experiencing. And it's, you know, designed with the intention and for the purpose of reawakening that blueprint, the blueprint of the soul in the body. And there's this lovely dance, this yin and yang, this Shiva Shakti, this dance between the physical biochemistry and the mystical, indestructible nature of ourselves, which I am just utterly in awe of and have been for my whole life, and was so thrilled to then learn that I could also enhance it by getting some clinical training around understanding the neurochemistry a bit, and then to go through the experience of witnessing in my own physiology the truth of that dance as you know, as important, and in some ways even more important, but not really different than also the supporting the physiology with the needs that it had, to reestablish what for me is actually a basic trust in my body's ability to digest light, to run the currency of light, to not shut down in the face of energy wanting to run through me into the worlds. And I'm, you know, not special. I am special in the sense that I'm unique and have my role to play and all this, and we all have that. But what I'm trying to point to is that there's just a sort of there is a way that reality works, in which we are a kind of conduit for the flow of universal prana. We are designed to be able to receive it and also have it move through our system, and then move out through our system like breath, like oxygen. And there's lots of ways that can get stuck when it hits certain areas in our body, subtle body, physical body, emotional body, mental body, even our karmic body or our ancestral body. There are places where that light and that currency, which is in a way, what you could say is like it's beyond the duality structure of our world, right? So we live in a dual nature universe. It's not bad or good. It is that comparison which gives us the capacity to grow and have experiences and to learn. But the prana itself is neither negative or positive. It's just that which fuels the whole experience. And I believe that part of what's happening right now when a lot of teachers and thought leaders and spiritual, leaders and astrologers and human design guides and just a lot of people right now on the planet are talking about the accelerated awakening. And I think a really simple way to think about it is almost like there is an increase in this light, in this universal prana, which is like when you turn the volume up on that, it also turns the volume up on what occurs within the physiology when that prana is trying to run through a system that has kinks and blockages and leakages and misalignments. And although it can feel kind of overwhelming at times, or it can feel like many things, ultimately it's just part of an amplification process in supporting us to smooth out those kinks, and so that we can become more of a conduit for that energy to move through us. And the good news is there's a way to do it that is not fixated so much on what's wrong or what those kinks are, and also doesn't avoid them or bypass them or say like, oh, that's just a mistake. And I can say I have many profound experiences of this. And just last night I had one around my gut. I've been having gut issues for the last few weeks that suddenly came on. And yesterday evening, I was able to actually see and gather information about the energetic blockage in my third chakra that was connected with those, and to see the origin of it and to see sort of the word for, you could say, the trauma. And I'm not sure that it is the root of the root or whatever. All I know is that was like the information that was ready to come because I was holding that place in my curious awareness. And I was oriented to the fact that my prana was running through me despite it. And this is like a really core point I want to make, is that one way that we can work with these things as they emerge and arise in our awakening journey is by being aware of the light and the prana as much, if not more so, more interested in that than in the kink or the boulder that we're experiencing in the body or in the emotional body or in the mental body, somewhere in the elaborate and complex physiological being that we are, embodied being that we are. And there's a metaphor, an image I like to imagine often, which is of a stream flowing through boulders or around boulders. And we can be aware of the boulder. Maybe it's depression, maybe it's anxiety, maybe it is dysbiosis of the gut, or maybe it is a heartache, or maybe it's a physical pain in the kidneys or in the womb. We can be aware of those things, and we can also be aware of this stream, this like current of light or water light, that is flowing over and around these things. And there's an amazing and beautiful and gentle and powerful alchemy that can begin to happen as those parts of ourself begin to be bathed in that light and that pure prana, which has no agenda to fix or judge those things or forcefully shove through them. And it also is not shy to touch and affect and soften those things. So there's a way that the edges of those things can begin to become dismantled. And maybe dismantled isn't the right word, but they also begin to integrate. So the information locked inside those little pockets begins to touch the water as well, begins to touch the stream of light, and begins to create a process of alchemical back and forth conversation between those pockets and this stream of light. And this is transmutation, and this is what can begin to, because the goal is not to get rid of these things and have just this pure light, because that would be like, there would be no learning in that. There would be no uniqueness in that. I believe that there's also a blessing happening for this stream of light in picking up the information from these pockets. And then the blessing for these pockets is that they also get to let go of how they've been holding themselves apart from the stream of light. And then the flavors of what's inside of them. So I talk about healing trauma like harvesting a pearl. So there's like inside of this bucket, there's something precious. It's that part, that seed inside that remembers the light, that's also made of the light. It's literally like a shard of light that's been encapsulated, like calcified, like the way the cells become calcified when they're shocked. And this actually happens in the physical body when we've had trauma, is that there's a calcification of the cells. The cells uptake too much calcium, and it actually kind of hardens them and makes it harder for things to come in, which can be protective in that it keeps from something negative continuing to penetrate the cell if there's been an overwhelming sort of flooding of the cell of something that was experienced as negative. But it also, unfortunately, keeps the cell from also then continuing to experience the new and nourishing things that are trying to come in to feed it and keep it healthy and alive, because health is a constant process of evolution. It's not stopping and staying stuck in a rigidified or frozen way. So grateful for freeze and what it does to protect us, right? And so like yesterday when I felt that bubble that's of my solar plexus here, I could see how it was trying to protect me. I could see the exact thing that it formed in response to. And I felt so grateful. Like, thank you for calcifying. Thank you for protecting me from that. Thank you for being my loyal guardian, my loyal soldier, to use the psychological term. And it's only when we can approach our protective parts of our human nature with that level of curiosity and care and appreciation that they can also begin to let go and start to dissolve into that stream because they're not needed anymore. So there is a seed of light inside of you. You are a conduit for the light and the prana of the universe. And you wouldn't be breathing and existing if that wasn't making its way through you and touching you in some way. So whatever it is that you're struggling with that is feeling heavy or hard in your life, whether it's health, whether it's conflict in relationships, loneliness, anxiety, depression, whether it's work or financial struggle, whatever it is, just know that those things are like boulders in a stream. And maybe see what might begin to shift a little bit if you tune and train your attention to the stream of light that is gently bathing the whole process. And even if you don't feel that, just imagining it, knowing that it's real, that again, you wouldn't be breathing. Your autonomic nervous system wouldn't have the fuel to be breathing and pumping your heart and moving your hormones in your blood and doing these things that you don't even have to think about if it wasn't being animated and given life from that. And you could call it something else if you want. It's that which gives life to all things. It's that which activates. It's that which animates. And if it's hard to do this for yourself, you can observe the way that nature does it. You can observe the way that other people are, and animals and trees and birds, how that thing that moves them, that they don't have to control, a kind of aliveness. Oh, and of course, if you would like support in tapping into this for yourself and in the alchemical process of working with these boulders and tuning into that stream of light, this is what I do professionally. I do it inside of the Body and Soul Sanctuary. I do it with groups, and I also do it individually in one-to-one sessions. And it's my passion and joy. I consider myself a psychic surgeon of sorts. So I'm very, very good at working with the light and the boulders and helping attune to specifically what it is, how it's showing up for you, and how to help you with the next steps of it. So please reach out to me. My website is bodyandsoulsanctuary.com. I have a free community called the Body and Soul Village, which is a nice place to just get started to see my newsletter and watch a few videos like this one, and then to reach out for a call if you're curious. about a conversation about potential enrollment in the sanctuary.